Welcome to Cover to Cover. I'm your host, Jovelyn Richards, on this Tuesday's Veteran Day in November. And today I thought I would bring you a bouquet of talent, not just a writer or just music or theater, but to bring this whole bouquet in on this particular Tuesday for you, my listening audience. And then I thought, what else can I make this a lovely, special thing? I'm going to bring the artist who is a writer, a musician, a storyteller, an actor. After all of that, what else can I bring? What can I bring with Tim Johnson Jr.? I said, let me bring his father to the story, Tim Johnson Sr., because Tim Johnson Jr., a rising R&B singer, multi-instrumentalist, and actor whose soulful sound and magnetic presence is captivating audiences across music and film. And at just 10 years old, his career took flight when he landed the role of young Simba in Disney's The Lion King in Las Vegas, an experience that set the tone for his multifaceted path in entertainment. His acting credits include Everybody Still Hates Chris, Saturdays, Ballers, Meet the Blacks 2, Fist Fight, We Were Meant to, and Pens and Pencils, a 2023 NAACP Image Award nominee. Tim has also featured in major commercials for global brands such as Nike, Apple, Verizon, Baskin Robbins, and Sprite. Now, note the word 10 years old. Now, most of us, I'm a mother. I've had 3 10-year-olds at a time in their life and several of you. So how does a 10-year-old become all of this? So, Tim Sr.,
Yes.
when did you, well, first of all, what was your background to even be thinking about the arts for your son as a part of his journey? What's your background, your story?
My story is that I was a teacher in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And how I got started was when I was in college. I went to Cheney University, which is the first HBCU in the
Okay.
country. So I went there, and during that time, like I think my junior, senior year, I started singing there. And then after that, I joined a group. And then several years later, that's when I became part of a gospel group called Christ-like, which was out in the 90s. And we did pretty well on the East Coast and everything. And that's how I guess I started my journey into music. But when
Okay.
I could take it back when I was like about 8 years old. I remember that I asked my mother for a Christmas present. And the Christmas present that I wanted was a keyboard.
Okay.
So, and during that time, that's when I wanted, I guess, to be in music
Mm-hmm.
at an early age too. But at that time, I guess I got the keyboard. But what happened? My older brother, he took over the keyboard and he started using it. So, and after that, that's when I started playing sports.
Okay, so there's a older brother story for all of you out there in the listening audience. We all have a story. Mine would be a bicycle. Want to learn to ride a bike. Got a beautiful blue bike, and my older brother took the bike, disassembled, and made his own bike for himself instead of a girl's bike.
Whoa.
That's and so all right. So now then the story. So now Tim Johnson Jr., you
Yeah.
started at 10. What, so your dad was told his story about he was drawn and asking for Christmas for piano. When did you awaken in your dad, your family, that you also wanted to be, and did you know his story as an artist?
Yeah. So growing up, um, like my dad said, he was in a gospel group called Christ Lake.
Yeah.
And so like when I was in my mom's stomach, I would be at the concerts.
Yep.
And look, always around music. So I grew up around gospel music, and my dad would produce the records. And so we had a studio in our basement. And so I was always going down in the studio. And when I was around 5 or 6, I was in the car with my parents, and I was singing a song in the back of the car. My parents were like, "What song are you singing?" And I was like, "I made it up." And my parents looked at each other, and they were like, "Yeah, we gonna do something with you." And from there, that's kind of when I got into music. Seeing my dad, do his thing, and then after that, that's when I started getting into like playing instruments and stuff. My uncle taught me how to play guitar, or started me off with that, and then I found out how to, play after that. And around that time too, when I was 6 or 7, that's when I told my parents I wanted to get into acting as well. And so in Philadelphia, I was doing musical theater and every talent show that I could before I booked Lion King.
So shyness is not your story.
No. And
You
I
come from Yeah,
yeah,
you
it was
come
my
from a
parents.
family. Yeah, you come from a family, so there's a foundation. So in our listening audience, it's really important. Like you said, you're in the car with your mom and dad, and then they hear this, and instead of the continuing on with the journey itself, but to stop and say, "What is this? Wait, where did this come from?" And be able to hear your story. So that's a very beautiful thing that has happened for you. So now, how did you come up with the conclusion, I want to go into acting? What happened?
Oh, well, this is how that started. Every time when we was going to church or going out at certain places,
Yeah.
someone would always ask me a question. How the Lion King, this is almost like with the Lion King story.
Yeah.
Someone would always ask me this question. They would say, "Does your son, even though he was like 4, 5, or 6 in that age, did your son ever try out for the Lion King?" I was like, "Okay, Lord, I'm hearing this," and I was telling my wife, and I was telling myself every time we go out, like sometime within a year, every time we would go out for an audition or for something like that, someone will
Mhm.
always ask me that same question. And I was like, okay, God, okay, someone is asking the question. That's when he started acting, like doing like theater and stuff in the community in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's clear too, in the wonderfulness of this story that I'm hearing unfold, is that the family is guided by a higher power, and that would be God, and the listening and the questions and the going to and the prayerfulness of it all. So that foundation is clear as a guiding post for you as well.
Yes. That's the
Yeah.
whole journey. We praying about everything. We like, okay, God, you brought us this far. Where are you taking us next? And so it's that surrendering and just trusting the process. And I think that's I mean, I know that's that's why we're here now.
Yeah. And a part of that story that I'm hearing too is that having this foundation kind of can help the family weed through all the unhealthy parts of the entertainment business that we hear about that can be very damaging or challenging or very very disappointing, and the highs and the lows, and then the sense of as most people look at it, the glitter, the glam, which has nothing to do with the truth of really the journey, right? And
Yeah.
people see, yeah, and if you get caught up in the glitter, the glam, the ooh, I want, then you miss the journey of the artist and the passion and the humanity. And that brings me to this question. When you both are collaborating, and I know on My Desire, you both collaborated. Dad, you produced, but you also did a deeper collaboration. Was that in terms of the writing of the music, the lyrics?
Well, with the lyrics, usually what happens is that this is sometimes like when we go into production, but I know you asked for about My Desire
Yeah.
because that song was written like in
22.
2022.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
look, I'm kind of like getting up there in age, so I forgot how that process went. So
That's
tell me,
funny.
tell you.
That was funny. That was funny.
I, I like how you pass that ball over. Like that's
Yeah,
22.
here you go.
Handle your business.
Yeah,
Handle the memory. Come on, son. Handle that memory.
that was funny. Yeah, so usually how we work together is like Um, I might write the song, or my dad's like, "Nah, like change this line, put this line in it." Wait, here, I'm asking my dad, what should the title be? Or he's like, "No, let's do the lines like this, or and this is the vibe, or do the melodies like this." So how we collaborate is really just authentic. Of like, okay, I might be in the studio and I'm like, okay, Dad, I finished the song. Can you add the touches? Or he's like, oh yeah, I made this beat. Add this. So it's kind of like, we flow with each other, and it's been like that since I was young. Like every project that I put out, music, since 2018, we've done it together, and we're going to continue to do it together. And so yeah, that's kind of how the process of us in the studio is. And with My Desire, it was funny because like my dad said, we had that single since 2022, and a couple months ago, I was hanging out with my friends, and I let them hear that song and the second single, You're the Best Thing in My Life. And my friends were like, "Yo, you just sitting on this?" It's like this is a whole nother sphere that you're in now, and it feels so authentic to you. My buddy was crying, and he called my dad and everything, so I was like, yeah, this is real. uh,
Oh,
we got to get on
yes.
this. And I was
Yeah.
just seeing how it was touching people in a different way, because we put out another album this year as well, called Fly Girl, and it's like more of 90s 2000s type of vibe, and that's been hitting people too. But I was seeing in this way also. This is just another side of our artistry.
So at the end of our conversation, we're gonna, the audience gets a chance, we'll have a chance to vibe off of My Desire.
Awesome.
What's the story you're telling in My Desire?
My Desire. So a lot of my songs, especially with this, is like this is what I want to have in the future with
Mhm.
someone, and sometimes it's like these are aspirational songs, or like some of the songs like you hear on the album is like one of the songs, in My Arms. My parents are like, that's our song, for us. But yeah, My Desire specifically is an aspirational song of like having that person that is like, hey, it's just us, and we're locked in for life. So yeah, that's basically what that song's about.
Oh, that's such a lovely, and lovely is a overused word sometimes, or at least it sounded like when it came out my mouth. But the truth of the matter is, it is quite lovely at a time in human history when it's very difficult for uh, people to be able to sit down and say, these are the things I desire inside
Mhm.
of a relationship one day. And when you think that through, pray that through, meditate that through, you have a better journey in moving in the world and finding that, right?
Yeah.
Because you've already listed it emotionally for yourself on a practical level. So it's going to be interesting when folks on listen at the end of this, they can pay attention to the lyrics and see whether or not they have discovered what their desires are. You got to know what you
That's right.
desire in order to meet a partner,
That's
right?
real truth.
Yeah. So in your instruments that you play, tell us the instruments that you've acquired inside of your talent.
Yeah. My main instrument is guitar, but I play keys, I play drums, and then I play a little bass, and I play a little banjo too.
And so you mostly guitar, is that the one that's closest to your emotional landscape? What that means to me and asking it is like, for instance, your dad said that he wanted a piano. So that suggests, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, that something about the piano spoke to him, right? Like
Hmm.
when you listen to music, somebody says, "Oh, you hear the way that bass. I love the bass." Or, and I grew up with the piano. With my sister's a classically trained pianist, and so the piano has been a thing, right?
Hmm.
On that level. And I always, in my mind, as is there's an instrument in all of us that hits a certain vibration that awakens a certain part of us to the sound. Which instrument awakens you, that opens your muse, that you want to write, you want to tell story?
That's the guitar. And I'll say it started when, like, around the time with Lion King. I remember because I did the Lion King from 2010 to 2012, and we moved to
Okay.
Las Vegas. And so yeah, Philadelphia to Las Vegas. And at first I was out there with my dad first, and then my mom and my younger brother and sibling came out with us after the 6 month period, because we had like 6 month renewal periods and everything. And so I remember being out there in Vegas, and I wrote my first song on guitar, and it was called "This Is Our Moment." And I brought my guitar to set, and everybody I could find, whether it was the makeup artist to like the people, the musicians in the pit, I was going everywhere playing my song for people. And I think the whole thing with guitar, it's so you could bring it with you anywhere. And I've seen how in life, having something that I could bring with me everywhere is kind of giving me like a narrow focus of like the things that I need to do. I'm like, okay, like one of the Bible verses that I keep with me is your gifts will make room for you and bring you among great men. And I've seen
Mhm.
how just being able to go places with my guitar, whether I'm singing, look, just out at whatever show, or back in the day, I remember we went in front of, what was it, the Universal building, and I was just playing outside of that building, seeing if somebody would stop
Yeah.
and like notice. So it's like guitar has always been that thing I could bring with me.
Okay. And what's mom's story? What kudos do you and dad give mom in this story? Because come on
Yeah.
now. Come on now.
Uh-oh. Dun, 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 dun.
That's
Yes. Look, she holds everything together.
Yep. And our story is another, it's another God story. How my wife and I met was she's from New York, and from Philadelphia. So I
Mhm,
was going to my second job. My second job was I used to make reservations with the airline called TWA.
mhm.
I just happened to come in and my phone was ringing. And I picked up my phone. I thought my supervisor was calling me, but it was my wife. At the time, she wasn't my wife. She was making reservations to
Okay.
go somewhere else, and we was on the phone for at least about an hour and a half on the phone, just making a reservation. But we're talking. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I said this happened in 1993. So I told her, I say, well, you know what? Send me your photos and your pictures and stuff down to me. So she did. And that
Mm-hmm.
same weekend, I was up in New York,
Okay.
and we got married in '95. So we've been together for 30 years.
For 30
Anniversary.
years.
We just celebrated.
Yeah, and so, and I asked that question, and I'm so glad to hear the story because when I started the interview, I said I have a bouquet of talent, right? And now the bouquet is being held together by the woman who connects this story through marriage and through birth. And it has to be a certain kind. And first of all, is she a musician as well?
Yes, he could sing.
Yeah, she be singing.
Wait a second. So she just doesn't sing, she sang.
She be singing,
She sang.
singing. Yeah.
That's a whole that's a whole nother talk show. Oh my goodness. Because and I asked that question because sometimes when everyone is not an artist, it's very difficult to deal with the whole world that is deconstructed being an artist, all the moving parts, and to be
Right.
able to hold that together and absolutely through the spiritual journey of God, through the love of the marriage and the children that y'all are growing together. So that's why I say just get some kudos because I know that there's a story within that. So yes, indeed. And
Yes.
so you're the big brother, Tim.
I'm the big brother.
So you didn't have the big brother come taking stuff for instruments, etc. Like your father did. You was able to keep
No,
your journal.
no,
Okay.
I was giving things to my siblings and stuff. Like my younger
Yeah,
brother,
yeah.
he's an actor. he's awesome, and he's an artist. So after Lion King, when we moved here, my brother was like, "Hey, I want to do this too." And my brother for years he was on a Disney show called Bunked.
Okay.
And so he was a series regular on that, and he's been in Bel Air. And he's doing a lot of different projects. We just did a project together. That's going to be, we working on it and everything. It's called Inauguration Day, and so we're in that together. And so now we're doing things as the brothers, which has always been the dream. And so he's doing this thing, and then my little sister, she said, "I don't want nothing to do with the industry," uh, but
Yeah.
but she was like, "No, I want to get into business."
So
And so
she's gonna
so she gonna help us run the business. So she gonna she in the industry, but doing it with the family.
Yeah, that's an interesting journey. That's, and such how remarkable for her to have enough of seeing it to make a decision and say, you know what, this isn't my thing.
Yeah.
Not like that. My mind is a different mind. I'm in the right side of the brain. If that's true about the right side of the brain versus the left side of the brain. So would that be the right? Yeah. And
Yep.
so she's in that space as well. So in the last a few minutes, can you tell the audience where they can listen to your music? What's on your landscape next? Any details?
Oh, don't forget. And also, I could say this before you
Yeah.
answer that one.
Okay.
Israel was the one who directed and shot the video for My Desire.
Yes, that's gonna be coming out really soon.
Okay.
So it's a family thing. Look, like I'm saying, look, everything that is recorded is my dad and I. We do it, look, in the house. It's homegrown. While we doing the song, my mom's like, "Hey, y'all want some food? Y'all been up there for a while."
Your
So
mom came
it's
in and said that. I feel like this needs to be a part two where we bring everybody up in here. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm serious. If y'all open to it, you email me and let me know because next week I think the audience deserves a part two. Because now
Oh
that you have
yeah.
a sense, yeah, I want to talk to mom. I want to talk to Israel. I want to have a quick. And I'll tell you why. You say, Joblin, the why in this story is that the level of love and belief in God, in each other, the listening to one another's desire of what you want to do, like baby sister, listening to what needs to happen and
That's
what
it.
people want, like you riding in the back of the car and they're hearing you sing, they say, what is that? And you say, I just made it up. And they say, oh, hold up now. We got to work with this here. And I think that's important all the time. But I think also the time when folks are growing family right now, raising family, and I believe very deeply that art moves humanity forward,
Mhm.
right? It moves human evolution forward, consciousness, right? And so if you have the time and space, next week it's right now we're recording, but it would be live on KPFA, same time, right?
Yeah.
2:30. You just, yeah, if that's a goal, confirm in the email. And ladies and gentlemen, folks in between and all of that, we would do a part B to this wonderful family. And then I want to say hi to mom and see what she's up to.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, would love that. And then also, I would love to sing My Desire live.
And I would love for you to sing it live. Absolutely. So next week we're gonna hear, and then also too, then bring if and we'll talk offline. So we're gonna close up now. So I want to say to everybody, this is Joblin KPFA cover to cover, and we're listening to Jim Johnson Jr. and senior, and we're discussing not just the art itself, but the foundation of what it takes to do this work in the world. So next week they are agreeing and we'll confirm that they will do part B and they'll bring mom in the story. He'll do live and I might even do a call in. So get ready because I may do a call in. So if you want to ask a question of family that I don't come up with the question that you can call in to say hi to the family. So next week, part B of the Johnson family, rocking on cover to cover, Jovelyn's Bistro, kpfa.org. Thank you, fam, and we will see you next week.
Ooh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Yeah.
You too.
Oh, my darling, you're one of a kind. My heart's been yearning for your touch. Now that I'm with you, I'm on cloud nine, floating in the pink skies. You are my world, the apple of my eye, my everything, and more. You're standing there, pretty and plain. I can't help but adore you. You'll always be my desire. Oh, my darling, I hope you can try. 'Cause lately, my guitar cries out for you. Every note is a promise of a sweet devotion every day and night. You are my world, the apple of my eye, my everything, and more. You're standing there, pretty and plain. I can't help but adore you. You'll always be my desire.
Community Powered speaks to KPFA's 75 years of building lasting relationships with you. At KPFA, our mission is connecting with like-minded listeners under the umbrella of neighbors, breaking down the walls of indifference. Through storytelling for social change, we reach back into our shared past of migration, violence, segregation, and inequality that has stunted America's growth. Yet together, and only together, supporting each other's good work through action and commitment, we can make positive change. We need your support for KPFA to continue to be a thought leader, a connector, and a driver of high-level engagement. We've been building community trust since 1949. Demonstrate your support today for 94.1 FM at kpfa.org. Thank you.